Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or for wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for details.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by Vector Security Champions Lane, the best pregame fan fest in college football. Visit championslane.com for updates throughout the season. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Tuesday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama wide receiver Rico Scott.
Ty's been great. I mean, all three quarterbacks, really. As far as the quarterback and receiver room, we've kind of been getting together every week since January. And, I mean, it's just continued to build. You see, like, Saturday, the type of things that Ty brings to the table.
And we also see it with Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, when he got to play. Is it exciting to see them get some opportunities to play and show Alabama fans what they can do?
Yeah, it's exciting because you see it in practice, but it's like, quarterback, usually one guy plays. So it was like, I mean, for me, I was here with Mac last year, but then seeing Keelan, like when he threw that first touchdown, like it put a smile on my face for sure.
And what did Ty do to really earn the job? And you got to see all of it throughout preseason camp.
Ty just does a great job at taking care of the ball. He's a great leader. He's a guy where, it was the fourth quarter of the Florida State game. We had to get a first down or whatever. He's coming in the huddle. He's like, guys, that's what we want. This is what we've been waiting for.
I'll have more in a moment.
Tide fans, are you ready for game day in Tuscaloosa? Don't miss the ultimate pregame experience this season at Vector Security Champions Lane, opening 4 hours before each home game. This fan fest has everything you need to get pumped for kickoff. Located next to the Walk of Champions, you'll enjoy live music, player autographs, the best food trucks from all over Alabama, and ice-cold beer in our Legends Lounge beer garden, where there's never a cover charge. Check out championslane.com each week for the latest updates. Roll Tide!
If you missed last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind, catch it on demand on the Alabama Insider podcast, as well as a video replay on the CTSN YouTube page. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Vector Security Champions Lane. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
TalentHVAC.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bad compressor or leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490. AL certain number 21014.
The Tom Abraham Show. Weekdays beginning at noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and WZZN TV. WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
It is Tuesday, the last day of the month of September. Tomorrow is October. So we are here inside the showroom here at Woody Anderson Ford. Got you here for the next 2 hours. So saddle up, get ready. And we've got a lot to get into. I got a lot of feedback as I usually do when we get Coach Clanville on each and every Monday. Chris Lee is going to join us here in about 20 minutes' time. How are you, Wes?
Doing great.
Clark Lee spoke today, and this is what the Vanderbilt coach had to say on the second year of Kalen DeBoer at Alabama.
For Kalen and his group, that their second year, it's you can see the identity of the program taking shape. Like I said, I think there's the offense resembles that group that they took to the championship game at Washington. It's got that kind of feel to it. They're throwing the ball really well. I think they have creative run game. You can see the influence of the coordinator in that, and they present challenges. Sometimes these teams, it reminds you a little bit of the 2020 Alabama team we defended in the playoffs, because they have the talent to where they could just line up and probably play traditional football, but they make it hard with shifts and motions and formations and all that kind of stuff. So I got a ton of respect for how they operate. The quarterback makes it go. I think he's developed chemistry in the system. He's a coach's son, and he seems to have, again, grown comfortable and also kind of grown in leadership too. So, they're gonna be challenging. And then, on our side, we feel like we're better. I mean, we're operating at a high level offensively. I think we're playing complementary style defensively. We've been very disruptive on defense. The havoc rate has been really high. We're among the nation's best in third down average distance, but we haven't finished on third down like we need to. We're better than we were a year ago, but there's an appetite for a little more consistency there, and that'll be what the game comes down to. So it's two good teams. Obviously, all the respect that they're getting, they deserve. I mean, that's a really, really well coached and good team. They're solid throughout, and we feel the same way about our outfit, and we're going to take our group down there and hope to play our best.
I mean, if you really dissect what he's saying right there, it is interesting to break down how much better Vanderbilt is this year than they were last year. Remember, that was an up and down team. They had just lost to Georgia State and had just lost to Missouri before their bye week, and then turned around and beat Bama.
Well, yeah, he was putting his systems in and getting his players, and now they're a year longer, and they are better than they were last year. We'll see if Alabama has played like a championship team in Bryant-Denny every time they've played since Kalen DeBoer's been there. So we're hoping that's the team we get this weekend. It's a lot different than beating Georgia and being number one and thinking you're the best and going up and getting upset by a team and not really play very well the first half and try to make it come back in the third quarter. But defensively, I don't remember. That was the first time I ever saw an Alabama defense looking apt in a game where they just couldn't pick up they were basically running the option and they just couldn't pick it up. And that's going to be, can this defense be disciplined enough to stop the triple option is basically what they're running, just in a different way.
We saw a couple of injured players come back and play for Alabama last Saturday, and Nathaniel Lang, of course, joins us here from Johnson and Hayes. Always good to see you, sir.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. And I honestly, I was surprised. It didn't surprise Wes. I was surprised how much we saw Tim Keenan along that defensive front.
Yeah, he was definitely a difference maker, taking up blocks, and he played more than I expected him to. Played well.
Just didn't play on third down.
Yeah, play on third down.
I mean, and he doesn't always play on third down anyway.
Right.
Depends on what the situation is, but yeah, I mean, I thought he played well when he was in there. I mean, he wasn't. You could tell he was limited in his quickness, but I think the best thing he does is take up two blockers and let the linebackers make the tackle.
Right.
I mean, that's
helpful, right?
Yeah, that's what the linebacker wants to. You don't go to the second level. He doesn't get pushed back.
I think that's going to be big this next game because you got the other guy setting out the first half for the targeting penalty.
Yep.
He's going to have to hopefully be able to play more snaps and be in there and maybe being in on some third down with some of this offensive Vanderbilt's going on.
Well, that's why I wanted to start there. Given how physical that game was and how many snaps he played, what does that do to that tightrope type of deal?
It's going to get better I can answer that. It's going to get better every week. Well, I mean, you're talking to somebody that played in every game.
Right.
And I had plenty of ankle things. The more time, unless you re-injure it, and the tightrope is supposed to make it better, though. Right.
It's a stronger joint. He's had surgery by one of the best foot and ankle specialists in the country, and they got a spectacular team down there at Alabama with their athletic training staff, physical therapy staff, and like Wes said, it's going to really be based on his pain. How much he can tolerate there. They're going to have him braced. They're going to have him, doing treatment throughout the week, still just kind of managing that and kind of just maintaining and just keep exposing that joint to a little bit more. But I think we'll continue to see him progressing more snaps through the rest of the season.
How about Jam?
Jam looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with Jam.
I mean, he looked good.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw the clip, the special padding they made for him. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So, they did like a custom 3D printed pad to go over that collarbone. And, he didn't look hesitant. I was kind of looking to see what, that first contact, that first block he's going to have to take on. And he played well.
Yeah, I didn't really. Did he play a lot on the running downs? I mean, passing downs?
Yeah,
I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was out there a bunch. I didn't see.
It was him and Riley.
I didn't see the other guys. I was thinking they didn't play a lot of the. They've been playing up to 4 running backs. They were splitting it with really mostly Richard Young, Dre Washington, and Kevin Riley.
Yeah,
and Daniel Hill a little bit, but to see Jam out there, they didn't get. I didn't see. I don't know if Richard Young played at all.
I didn't see him. I didn't see him on the field.
So I just saw the Jam and Kevin Riley. I look forward to win the what is it, AK Deer.
Yeah.
He has like 2 carries for 150 yards. So I'm looking forward to. He must not know if he's supposed to go right or left on most plays. That's the way I was as a freshman. It's it's a little much. I'm looking for him to step up. But as far as these injuries now, awful injury was to who was the guy that got hurt last week? They
talking about Latham.
Yeah, Jamarian Latham.
Yeah, hurt his neck. I mean, that was awful.
Right, and very serious to have to transport him to UAB. He was up there. I read an article where Kalen DeBoer said that he had made it back to Tuscaloosa, but they definitely ruled him out for the season. So, hopefully he makes a full recovery. They anticipate him making a full recovery, but we just want to hope that he gets it back.
Yeah, and we'll get a medical red shirt, which will give him another year of eligibility, which will help with some of the guys we're going to lose this year as well. And hopefully for his sake, that he'll be able to have a normal life as well.
Yeah.
He's the last of the last national championship team.
Yeah.
Is the only
2020.
one. Wow. 2020 national championship team.
He's the last, and he's going to be around for another year. I mean, hopefully that he'll be able to play again. So Auburn's had a lot of injuries, but nothing seems to has been serious. I mean, they've all been just mostly to the running backs.
Right. They still got the one guy out that, had the thigh contusion. They had to be rushed to
Darrell
Robinson. And then also Horatio Fields, he broke his foot last week in practice. Hugh Freeze ruled him out for the rest of the season. He ended up having surgery. He was their kind of number 3 receiver behind Singleton and Cam Coleman. So, other guys are going to have to step up. for him. But everybody else played. I think Champ Anthony played. Jay Crawford was kind of a game time decision, but he played and did well. That defense played well. So yeah.
This is the time of the year when we flip that calendar to October. I at least in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, what can players do to help themselves to prevent injuries as the season goes along?
Not play football.
So
other than that,
right.
Other than that,
so the big thing is, coming from a background in Division I athletic training and kind of seeing what these guys are going through on a weekly basis. These guys are showing up, they're doing treatment throughout the week. These bigger schools, they got their nutrition dialed in. I mean, we are really trying to make sure that every little, ding and bump and bruise and stuff, we're addressing that throughout the thing. And the staffs on these, especially these STC schools and other schools too, that do a great job of kind of managing their load throughout the week and trying to see if we can make sure they're peaking at game time. And so a lot of resources these guys have to kind of maintain their bodies through this, rigorous season.
As much as we talk how numbers based everything is in today's world, even the catapult that the guys wear, how much does that help you guys?
I mean, it's huge from an athletic training standpoint. Now,
it's huge from a load management
right.
for the whole team.
Yeah,
I mean, my son being a strength coach, they're the one that keeps up with the catapult systems, and I think they use a different one. But what it does is it shows you how much stress they're going through the week, so they can dial it down, dial it up. If they're not, they can tell if you're going full speed, not going full speed. They can tell if you're being hesitant, not being hesitant on a play, meaning you don't know what to do. I mean, all that's measured, and they know exactly how many. I know 3 years ago, they were practicing. They were running 2 miles a day and 2.5 miles a day, and they were running 15 miles a week, and they figured out that was too much, so they dialed it back and they started playing better.
Right.
So because they were leaving it too much on the field, it can tell you everything: your heart rate, how fast you're going, what your normal speed is versus what you do in a day, what your max heart rate is, and what percent that is. It's amazing what it does.
And they can take all that metrics with the strength and conditioning staff. And mix that with the athletic training staff and say, okay, what can we do with these guys throughout the week to make sure that we are hitting that upward trend on Saturday? And so we're not running them into the ground when it gets to Saturday when we need them, we want to perform.
And we're talking about this now. They've been doing this for 10, 12 years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it used to be just the big schools had it. Now all the schools have it.
Yep.
It's that important.
Right.
And thus the transfer portal. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Right, maybe more for the weekend warriors rather than people that are preparing themselves for football games each and every Saturday. I mean, heck, I'm in my 50s now, and when the weather is about to change on Thursday, and my body is already aching in certain places. Just from people out there that are the weekend warrior types, what can they do to help prevent injuries during a weather change?
Right. I think in context of just managing their overall, what is their overall goals? What do they want to do? How do they train? How are they eating? How are they sleeping? It goes back to the basics on that. Listening to your body when things are bothersome for you. Make sure you're addressing them, especially as we age. We want to make sure that we are addressing lingering issues with that. Utilization of physical therapy, utilization of stuff like that to kind of manage this so you don't wait till it gets so bad where now we're in a situation where we're doing a surgical consult or we're heading to the doctor. So with the new direct access law that got passed last year for physical therapists, that allows us to bring someone in, to do an evaluation on and begin treatment with that up to 30 days. For that. So it allows a little bit more access for the community to kind of come in, and then we're liaison with our physicians if we're seeing something that may be warranted more towards a medical intervention. So it's been great, I think, but it goes back to that basics of, knowing your body, knowing, make sure you're addressing yourself, flexibility, strength training, cardiovascular training, diet, exercise, sleep, basic stuff like that. And then just listening to your body on what is kind of going on. So
every time I think I've hit a level, I've been cycling for a few years now, I'll jump in the pool and do a couple of laps. I ain't where I need to be. That pool gets me every single time.
It will.
But that's just me. But I know.
If you're like me, it's tough dodging the harpoons, isn't it?
That's fair. That's very fair.
Very fair.
Yeah. Nathaniel doesn't have that problem.
No, he's actually swimming.
Not floating.
Yeah, I'm just trying to survive after about 4 laps.
I just try to get under before the boat hits me.
Well, there's multiple locations out there for Johnson and Hayes, and I mean from Aniana to Gunnersville, all around. What's the best way to?
Best way is just you got a good relationship with your physician, or you just want to stop by and you want to schedule an appointment. Hey, Nathaniel, I want you to look at this for me. Hey, let's do an evaluation on you. Let's see what's appropriate for you and get you started. So, like I said, our locations from Aniana all the way out to Balch Road in Madison and everything in between.
Yeah, and if you have something ailing you, they'll get it right.
You want to give him any pointers? He's heading to Disneyland next week.
Save up. There's a paddle for every ass there.
I just thought he may have a pointer there for you. Anyway, safe travels and enjoy your fall break in Orlando.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take our first time out. We're live here from Woody Anderson Ford. We'll talk to Chris Lee coming up next.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just in time for early fall adventures, what could be better than zero down on a new Ford? That sounds good to me. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's football and camping season, and we've got a brand new Ford to take you there. Right now, Woody Anderson Ford has some strong $399 and $499 leases that come with zero down and 2 years of premium complimentary maintenance too. Choose a 2025 STX Crew Cab with a 2.7-liter EcoBoost for just $499 a month, or choose its electric brother, the F-150 Lightning, just $399 a month. Woody Anderson Ford also has 25 Broncos, Explorers for $499 a month, and Bronco Sport and Escape for only $399 a month. And remember, these leases are zero down, and they come with 2 years of complimentary maintenance. 36-month leases with zero down, first payment due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax, tag, and title fees, and your good credit. These offers end 9/30/25. Now's the time for a Woody Anderson Ford. I'm Bobby White, and we hope to see you soon.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. The Liosi Group.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
At Stella at 5 Points, living isn't just about having an apartment, it's about living artfully. Imagine waking up with the upscale feel of Atlanta or Nashville right here in the heart of Huntsville. Modern, stylish apartments, open layouts, stainless steel appliances, and resort-inspired amenities. Nestled in vibrant 5 Points, you'll enjoy walkability, parks, dining, and quick access to downtown without the chaos. Stella at 5 Points. Live heartfully. Live Stella.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here at Woody Anderson Ford, along with Wes Neighbors, Steve Moulton back here with you. I noticed listening to our VEASAN updates, not familiar with this song. That's what took me there a second with the old.
Turned it up.
Yeah, the punch, the numbers. Listening to our VEASAN update, did it surprise you at all? I don't know if you even know that the line at least started out at 13 for Alabama. That surprised me a little bit.
That it's down from 13?
No, that it started at 13.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd be double digits. Yeah.
So it's now registering at 10, right at 10. Some other point spreads. Georgia is a 20.5 point favorite over Kentucky. Kentucky's a mess. Let's see here. You'll get Army Black Knight football over on Talk Radio WZZN. They are a 7.5 point road favorite at UAB this Saturday. And again, you'll be able to hear that on Talk Radio WZZN. Texas is a 6.5 point road favorite at Florida. Heard quite a bit of Billy. I would not be shocked at all if Florida jumped up and bit Texas this weekend.
Well, I mean, they're a wounded dog, no doubt. So, but and they're dangerous. But I don't know. But we'll see.
It is
last year. It wasn't much of a game.
10.5 officially, not 10. 10.5 for Alabama over Vanderbilt. But I don't have good news for you though, Wes. I don't have some good news.
Oh, I know what you're going to say already, but yeah. The yo-yos jumped on the bandwagon. Yeah, I heard them. I turned it off. I turned it real quick. I didn't want to hear it.
So you've already heard it.
Well, I heard part of it. I mean, I heard the beginning, and I said, oh, God, I turned it real quick.
Number 8, Alabama. That's a huge win. I know they lost to Florida State earlier, but all of us that watched that game on Saturday night know that that team looks drastically different. Drastically different. The effort was different. The physicality was different. The game plan was different. I loved all of it. Ty Simpson continues to be elite at quarterback. What they did to start that game, I think it was 8 for their first 8 on third down, which was remarkable. I believe it was 9 of 11 or 9 of 12 at one point early in the third quarter. Their level of execution was fantastic. Now, granted, they had to hang on in the end and didn't really run it that great, but it's there. The top end is there. If they play disciplined and they protect Ty Simpson, that is going to be a very difficult team to beat. So Alabama is going to be at number 8. 7 is Indiana.
Well, we're number 8. At least we're not number 1. So,
that was his video from yesterday. His full top 10 looks like this. This is Joel Klatt, who we're speaking of. Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Miami 3, Texas A&M 4, Texas 5, Ole Miss 6, Indiana 7, Alabama 8, Penn State 9, and Georgia 10. That is his top 10 heading into week 6.
Yeah, well, it really doesn't matter, as I always say. But it's something to talk about. What matters is you get ready for every week. You gotta go out there and perform, and you need to win your home games. You have to win your home games pretty much.
Yeah.
In this conference, to have a shot to be, and then you got to somehow get out of 2, right?
Yeah.
Somehow get out 2. And right now, Alabama's where I thought they'd be at this point. I thought they'd be 3-1, and they are. Not the game I thought they'd lose.
What game did you think they were going to lose?
The Georgia game. I mean,
Oh,
I thought
okay.
they would lose to Georgia.
Mhm.
I didn't last week because I
No, you didn't.
watch it, but I'm talking
That's
about
why.
before the season. Well, I mean, if we didn't have and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I've been saying that consistently.
He was impressive to watch up close. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, he has a cannon, and the light's gone off, and he's throwing on time, and he's getting great coaching. Awesome coaching.
Well, we've already heard from Clark Lee, who spoke with the media today, but it is always fun to talk Vandy as well as the entire Southeastern Conference with Chris Lee, who's kind enough to join us right now from Southeastern 16. How are you, Chris?
Good to join you. Sorry about the difficulties connecting there.
All good. No issues at all. And here we go. It especially after listening to Clark Lee today, it does feel like both teams are playing better heading into this matchup than they were a year ago. Well, at least for the Vandy side, I know Alabama was coming off of a win over Georgia.
Yeah, I'm probably as confused about the Alabama side as you guys are because we've seen such different things. But I mean, look, I've told people this. I think if this year's Vanderbilt team plays last year's Vanderbilt team, they probably win by 10 points and maybe even a little bit more. I mean, I think I'm taking away nothing from what Vanderbilt did a year ago. They had to do just about everything right to win that game, and they pretty much did it, right?
Yeah.
And that probably happened in a few games. This year, their margin for error is a lot greater. I think it's crazy to say, but I feel like they can beat pretty much anybody on their schedule on the right day. And it's no longer a matter of like everybody else has got to come in with a D performance for that to happen. I just think they have gotten so much better on the lines of scrimmage and at the skill positions with playmakers. It's not the same team that you guys saw a year ago.
What happened at the beginning of the Utah State game? Why were there struggles there early for Vandy in that game?
I think a couple things. I mean, you can point to the things that always catch teams, right? You got the Alabama a week ahead, number one. You've got the 11:45 kickoff, which is, that's gotten a few teams in the past. And I think, you probably, for once, they've been ranked for a couple of weeks. It's maybe a game that people actually circle on their schedule. Utah State doesn't usually get teams like that. And I think Utah State also is a team that I think was top 5 or 10 in the country at big plays, whether you wanted to go, 50 yards or more, 40 yards or more. And so they do have the capability of scoring some points. I think they put 22 on A&M. Look, it wasn't their best effort. And I do have some concerns on their defense after watching that. I will say, too, some of the late scores, I think they had third and fourth teamers in on that last touchdown later in the game. And I think, the next last one was pretty much all reserves, too. But I think the slow start, some of that was probably just like things that you could name as reasons for slow starts when teams in that spot get gotten a little bit early.
I don't want to say surprising headlines, but just I really didn't think I'd be talking about Johnny Manziel on a Tuesday afternoon, but the fact that he's going to be on the Vanderbilt sidelines on Saturday as well. Is this just more of a friendship between Diego and Johnny, or do you know how this came about?
That's the second time I've been asked that today. I don't know the whole story, but I can tell you this. Diego's been on podcasts in the off season and talked about Manziel as his hero. And as they've gotten more notoriety, and man, that kid was out self-promoting and promoting that program a lot this summer. I don't know if something just bubbled to the surface and they touched base, but I think Diego's kind of made it clear that he was his hero. And so I guess something happened from there.
Fair enough. For Bama fans that have not paid attention to Vanderbilt, and I'll tell you this, what Vandy did in the second half at Virginia Tech, and I know they're looking for a new head coach, and heck, even what they did in the second half at South Carolina, it led me to believe that this defense is better than they were last year. But what would you say to Alabama fans that maybe have not paid as close attention to this year's Vanderbilt team compared to last year? I know you've talked a little bit about that, but I mean specifically on the defensive side, Chris.
It's been. I'm a little concerned the last couple of weeks. They've given up more big plays downfield, and I didn't get this question in the press conference today, which was, are you guys thinking about moving Martell Height maybe out of less of an offensive role now that you found some playmakers, and maybe more back to corner where he's played like a third of their snaps? He was their leading corner in snaps a year ago and their best corner. And so I think they thought they might be having some issues with playmakers in the spring. That didn't materialize. And so he's kind of in this middle ground where he's playing some on offense, some on defense, and some on special teams. And so that's one thing to watch from the start. Does Martell Height get more reps at corner? Because I think he's their best one. But they have had some issues stopping the downfield passing game. Now, again, some of that's after games that have gotten out of hand. But at times when they're really their best, they are really getting after the passer. Sometimes that's sending pressure from different places and doing some exotic stuff that's caught some teams off guard. I think they played more vanilla the last 2 weeks, but they've got really 3 or 4 guys up front, and Nick Rinaldi, who's a walk-on linebacker who's made himself into an NFL prospect. He wears number 24. He's been, I think, National Defensive Player of the Week once this year. Corday Sidner, 96. He's a really good pass rusher too. Miles Capers off the edge. He's the kid that forced the big fumble in that game a year ago. And I'm leaving somebody out, but I think they have some guys. Well, look, it's not vintage, Alabama off the edge. Don't get me wrong here, but they've got more of a presence up front in terms of getting after passers than they've had in a while. And when they're playing at their best, those guys have really wreaked havoc, but because of that pass rush.
Did anybody? I know it was addressed at least in terms of the last time Vanderbilt beat Alabama at Alabama. I'm sorry, Wes, to bring that up to you. But did he at least find out 1984 was indeed? Because I know he likes to study up, and watching that part of the press conference, I think he wanted to know more about the history between Vanderbilt and Alabama more than anything, Chris.
Yeah, he probably knows. I don't know if he did or not. To be honest, they don't spend a lot of time dwelling on those things. They're talking points for us in the media. Obviously, there's storylines because it has been a while. I mean, Ronald Reagan was president last time that happened. It's been a minute, but I just think and that's really part of when they've been able to turn the corner. They've been able to put a lot of their past behind them, and just kind of an anecdote. When I was at the game a year ago in the press box, and I was going to the post game press conference, they had said a couple players during the week, we can win this game. And I don't think anybody believed they were going to go out and do it, but I think they believed it. And when you walk through the building to get to the press conference, it's their building. Their locker room's there. Their coaches' offices are there. You got family and everything going through. And you didn't hear these, mass celebrations and, we can't believe, we did this kind of spirit. It was kind of like, and it really surprised me that not that there wasn't some of that, but it was kind of like we knew that we could take care of business and we just went out and did it. And I just think there's look, they may get clocked on Saturday. Alabama's really good. They were my preseason pick to win the national title. But there's been a belief in that room for a while longer than the public would have reason to think it was valid.
Am I crazy to think that that this might be the best Vanderbilt team I've ever seen in my lifetime?
It is. It's the best one I've ever covered. Franklin had some good teams, but I don't think they were close to this one. Now, look, the toughest games on their schedule are ahead of them. Yeah. And I get that. I think you're going to find out a lot more when you see them go against athletes from Alabama and LSU and all the teams on the schedule. But nobody's come within 20 points of them so far this year, and that includes 2 road games at Power 5 teams, and I think that counts for something too.
I'm not sure how many people had the last undefeateds as in the Southeastern Conference as the teams that are currently there. And just from the Southeastern 16 perspective, give me your flyover on what you think of, be it Missouri or Ole Miss and Vanderbilt and these undefeated teams that are left. It's, of course, Texas A&M as well.
We power rank them every week. We do it as a group. And man, my process is agonizing. But because I can go into it with one mindset, and the team I had at 3 next week can win, and I've got them at 8 the next week. Just because I look at it with fresh eyes and what can you do and what can't you do. But I mean, I don't think the difference between the top 10 or 12 teams in the league, I mean, it may not be more than, 8 to 10 points from top to bottom. We've never seen that. I think it's a little bit harder to tell because the schedules are so unbalanced this early in the season. I mean, I feel like the conference, most of the good games are very much backloaded to the back end of the schedule, which is really where I pay attention. Like, what do you do against teams that are really good? More so than how do you beat the tar out of Georgia State. But I don't know. You mentioned Missouri. I feel like that team's being slept on. Just looking at the stat sheet, their schedule has not been good, but I've watched them. They've got athletes at the receiving position. They've got 2 really good backs, including maybe the best one in the country. Bo Pribula has been way better than I expected, and they thought they would be built on defense. They thought that was where their strength was, and everybody's talking about the offense. I think that's a team that maybe is getting slept on that I think is really, really good. But I think the top 8, 10, 12 teams in this league, I mean, you can almost pick them out of a hat and play one against each other, and it's almost random. I just think the competitiveness in the league, throw up maybe Arkansas, Kentucky, and maybe another team or two. But I think the rest of them, it's so much fun to watch week to week because you have no idea what's about to happen.
I know Auburn's 0-2, but it's 2 road losses.
Arkansas played bad last week, but Arkansas has some players.
Yeah.
They had they lost 2 of their losses were one, they fumbled, both of them they fumbled inside the red zone. One was all they needed was a field goal. One they were down by 6, and if they scored, kick an extra point, they win.
Yep.
So the margin of error has gone down. If you make, I mean, and with a lot of these teams, really, South Carolina and Kentucky are the only 2 teams that I would want to play in the conference right now. The other ones are there's not.
Well.
Yeah, exactly. But what's going to happen is injuries are going to be the big thing.
Yeah.
Going down the stretch, starting getting in your Southeastern Conference, and then it becomes, nobody has the depth that they had. And if somebody loses a quarterback, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. And the wild thing is Ole Miss is the team that lost a quarterback and then found one that may be better than one they thought was its franchise guy. This guy was playing at Ferris State a year ago, and they're they're at the top of the league right now. I think the team Vanderbilt will be a team I worry about losing a quarterback. Texas, as bad as Arch Manning is, they don't seem anywhere near inclined to give the kid behind him a shot, which I think he was you guys would know better. I think he was a backup maybe at Troy a year ago or a part-timer. They just kind of went all in on Arch. I think that is the interesting part is there's a few teams that, like, if they lose their starting quarterback, you wonder, are those guys toast? And then you've got the team that's leading the league that lost theirs and maybe got better.
Auburn, I'd love to get your 2 cents there on Auburn. There is some quiet panic that I'm getting from Auburn fans, but 0-2 with 2 road losses in the Southeastern Conference, be it Oklahoma and Texas A&M, not exactly pushovers. Where is Auburn, you think, heading to this year?
Auburn is almost a poster child for the state of the SEC right now in that, like, they do some things really well, right? Like, defensively, I think they've been really salty. They've run the ball really well at times. I almost wonder, are you better off just giving Jackson Arnold 25 carries a game and just seeing where it goes, the way he looked against Baylor? And they can run it out of the tailback position a little bit. But, all of a sudden they're the sacks, I know that's mostly on Arnold. Most people that know football would say, it's just like you're deficient in a little bit, and you're almost like you're deficient in a lot. Like, their defense is good enough to keep them in a game against anybody, but they can't throw the football. They cannot throw the football downfield, even with, I think, 3 really good receivers and probably more than that. They got back their kicker, which is a place where they hurt a year ago, and McPherson hasn't been as good as he's been, which is understandable what he went through. But I just think, they're so talented in some spots, but this league is so competitive top to bottom that if you just have a spot or two where you're not up to snuff, or in their case, just not good at throwing the ball, it's really hard to win games, as they're finding out.
I don't know if I look at Sagarin's rankings a good bit, and now that we've hit kind of the first quarter post, it gives me at least a little bit more data to look at. But what surprises me, and the reason I'm bringing it up with you, Chris, is his conference list has SEC 1. That doesn't surprise me. Big 10 2, then Independence, then Big 12, then the ACC, 5th on this list. That surprises me at least a little bit from these statistics, Chris.
Yeah, I think that the Big 12 is really balanced. I don't know that there's just like an awful team in the Big 12. The ACC has probably got some bad teams, and then you've got Clemson wasn't the national title contender we thought. North Carolina's been bad. Not that anybody expected, Carolina to be great, but there was some optimism. I just think across the board, it feels like that league is kind of taking a hit at every level.
Yeah. And the SEC, I would, and again, last year proved that the committee did not put in a 3-loss team out of the SEC. But I feel like the strength of at least talking here on the final day of September with you, Chris, that I feel like 3 losses would be a legitimate conversation depending on those L's.
Yeah, I've had the same thought. I think the issue you're going to have is the top half of the Big Ten. Ohio State is probably going to be favored in every remaining game. It's already got a skin over Texas. Yeah. We'll see what that's worth. Oregon, to me, looks like maybe the best team in the country. Indiana looks like maybe a juggernaut.
But Indiana Indiana's schedule is a joke
right now. The at least according to Sagarin, are 80th in their strength of schedule right now.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. And then I think their schedule, they get some favors there too. But like if they go 11-1, like can you leave them out? Probably not.
Yeah,
but if they go 11-1, they have to beat Penn State and Ohio State. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. We'll see, but I mean, I think that's one of the issues for the SEC. The Big 12. I guess if I don't think Texas Tech and Iowa State play. If those teams run the table, you could get the surprise second Big 12 team in. I don't know. I'd have to look at it a little bit more, but I think you've got, like Florida State. Like if Florida State, if the Virginia loss is the only blemish, they're certainly going to have a case. I think there's some. It feels like there's a lot of contenders out there. We'll see how it goes as these teams start to play the meat of their schedule. But I don't know. It feels to me like trying to predict what's going to happen. I probably feel pretty good saying Ohio State will be in, and if I had to think about it a little bit more, I could probably come up with a couple of teams that I would say, yeah, they're going to get in. But man, God help you when you try to sort it out, because all these so many of these games at the top are just going to be so competitive.
Yeah. Is it any easier for you heading into October to think, okay, I could see these two teams playing for an SEC championship in December? I don't have a clue. That's why I'm asking you, Chris.
No, I think I'm more confused than ever. Although Ole Miss, Ole Miss has gotten a pretty good start. I think they've got a pretty good shot just because the remaining schedule is not all that, and they're off to a fight. And frankly, they've beaten some solid teams so far, but they have certainly avoided some of the teams that you would, or going to avoid some of the teams that you'd really like to avoid.
Hey, on the subject of some cake of a schedule, Notre Dame, it feels like now that they've gone through what I think is their tough part of the schedule, I mean, they just don't have to trip on their feet more than anything, the way it looks like schedule-wise moving forward with Notre Dame.
Yeah, the problem is, though, if we're getting to this jumble of 10-2 and 9-3 teams, the two, it feels like the two best chances of good wins are behind them. I don't have the schedule in front of me. Pitt was one that you thought down the road, okay, that might be a nice win, but Pitt's not all that. I just don't know. I mean, they could clobber everybody from here on out, and the power rankings sure like them just about everywhere you look. But at the end of the day, is it fair to put Notre Dame in over a 9-3 SEC team that played half its games against ranked teams? It doesn't feel like that would be the right thing to me. So I thought, honestly, and we talked about this before the A&M game, I thought if they couldn't win that game, it was going to be very hard for them to make the playoffs. So we'll see. I think they would have to just be super impressive and catch some breaks with some other teams. At least that's how I see it. Maybe the brand carries more weight and they get a little bit more grace, but I don't know. I would have a hard time feeling it would be deserved.
Let's reel back to the beginning of our conversation as we wind down with you, Chris, and appreciate the time, sir. Give me a key or two for Vanderbilt to pull off the upset and beat Alabama on Saturday.
Oh, I think a few things. Win the turnover battle, which will not be easy because I don't believe Alabama's turned it over once all year. I think get to Ty Simpson, maybe not sack him, but force him to throw before you can spring Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard and those guys open downfield. I think if you're Vanderbilt, that's one of your biggest concerns is that, because you get those guys the ball in the open field and they can win a foot race against anybody. And Simpson's a guy who can get the ball there too, from what we've seen. I think those are two big things. And I think for Vanderbilt, the run, third downs are a big thing. Alabama won that Georgia game because it converted a lot of third downs and just kept getting in first downs and flipping the series of downs over. And Georgia couldn't match them in that regard. I think holding the ball, Vanderbilt's run the ball really well. Alabama really has not so far. So, if neither team is turning it over, which they don't do a lot, I think just holding possession of the football is a big thing, and maybe who can do that better could be the team that wins the game.
Chris, appreciate the insight, sir. And are you heading to Tuscaloosa?
Probably not. We had a death in the family this week that kind of put a kink in our plans. I was hoping to make it, but we'll certainly be watching from TV. And I mean, man, it's going to be fun to watch. I wish I could make it.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the passing there in your family. Thoughts and prayers to you and your family, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. That is Chris Lee from Southeastern 16, kind enough to join us. Man, I hate to hear that. Trevor Matic is going to join us at the top of the hour. There was a video put out by Alabama after the win over Georgia. And if you need more verification on Ty Simpson being your guy, I mean,
us versus them. But guess what? This game ain't about that. All right, this game is about us. All right, and us only. I said this the other day. All right, it's not about what they do. All right, it's about what we do.
Hey, I'm turning this one straight over to your QB right now.
This is post game right here.
First off, how about that Crimson Tide?
How about them Cowboys?
That's exactly.
Yeah, he sounded like Coach Saban. He needs a little bass in his voice.
I do have some audio from Coach Saban yesterday, who spoke to the quarterback club in Birmingham and broke down the Alabama-Georgia game, and then also had a key or two for this Vanderbilt game. We'll hear from Coach Saban on the other side as we're live here from Woody Anderson Ford. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just in time for early fall adventures, what could be better than zero down on a new Ford? That sounds good to me. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's football and camping season, and we've got a brand new Ford to take you there. Right now, Woody Anderson Ford has some strong $399 and $499 leases that come with zero down and 2 years of premium complimentary maintenance too. Choose a 2025 STX Crew Cab with a 2.7-liter EcoBoost for just $499 a month. Or choose its electric brother, the F-150 Lightning, just $399 a month. Woody Anderson Ford also has 25 Broncos, Explorers for $499 a month, and Bronco Sport and Escape for only $399 a month. And remember, these leases are zero down, and they come with 2 years of complimentary maintenance. 36-month leases with zero down, first payment due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax, tag, and title fees, and your good credit. These offers end 9/30/25. Now's the time for a Woody Anderson Ford. I'm Bobby White, and we hope to see you soon.
Since 1983, Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate's Ann Adams has been your local go-to real estate expert in the area. As a buyer, you can trust Ann's in-depth knowledge of the local housing market to narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, saving you time when shopping for a new home. When you're ready to sell, Ann's expert negotiation skills will ensure you get a fair price and hassle-free experience. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or email annadamsrise@gmail.com. By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. You've been paying on that life insurance policy for years, but maybe you don't really need it anymore, or it's gotten a bit too expensive. Well, before you just let it expire, let Neighbors Insurance Solutions share with you some alternatives that you haven't considered. Don't throw away something that still may have great value for you. If you want to learn more about what Neighbors Insurance Solutions can do for you, call 256-763-7693. A death benefit could be a life benefit. Learn more at 256-763-7693. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Your Fox 54 weather.
Crime Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A relatively nice night across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures drop into the low and mid-60s. A mostly to partly sunny sky for your Wednesday. Talking about another small opportunity for some rain. Most of us are going to be dry. Temperatures climbing into the lower 80s, dropping into the mid-60s as we head into the overnight. Thursday, fantastic once again. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures in the low 80s.
Your Fox 54 weather. Only on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Listen to the Alabama Football Recap Show every Sunday at 11. Smoked by Dreamland Barbecue. Ain't nothing like 'em nowhere. On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you happen to be watching on WZZN TV, That T-Bird right there is in the showroom. Just come on by and take a look at that. It is also, you just heard that weather forecast, going to be beautiful with highs in the low 80s, with lows getting down in the 50s beginning on Thursday. And at least for me, this is perfect golf weather. This is prime time golf weather coming up on Thursday. And we've got a chance for you to play some golf at a reduced rate. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. Click on the Big Zone Deals. Gunners Landing and Cherokee Ridge Golf Course are right there for the taking. So
and they look
enjoy
gorgeous
some
right
golf.
now, too. They've been working on them.
It for me, this is prime time golf weather coming up. Also joining us here in about 10 minutes' time, Trevor Maddich. But before we get to him, Nick Saban had this to say on both Alabama and Auburn yesterday at the Birmingham Touchdown Club meeting.
Happy that Alabama had a great win over Georgia, played really well. I think Caden's done a great job of bringing the team back after a disappointing opening loss at Florida State. And even for Auburn fans, I would say your all team has been impressive. I know you lost two really close games to both top 10 teams on the road. I think Hugh Freeze is doing a great job, and I think if you continue to support him, that this team's going to come around. If they get the offensive line to play a little bit better, they got a quarterback that can run, throw RPOs, they got receivers that can beat man-to-man, so I think they'll be just fine.
I hear that from Coach Saban, and I immediately wonder who's running for office. I mean, he is breaking it down, and I get it.
I agree with him. The offensive line is the key. You cannot win games having 10 and 7 sacks. The fact that they were in both games is a test to the defense and how they're playing. And if they can keep playing like that every game, they'll have a chance to win every game. But you got to sooner or later. And being in the confines of Auburn, I think they win those games, or possibly could win. I mean, if you don't block your guy, you don't block your guy. It's just, I thought. Well, I said after the Baylor game that the key to Auburn was going to be offensively morphing, because you cannot run your quarterback. They figured that out really quick, and they started double teaming number 8.
Yep,
taking the short passes away on certain. They knew what Auburn was going to run. Texas A&M knew what Auburn's going to run before they knew.
This is. I'll try to squeeze this in quickly. This is what Coach Saban had to say about a key for Alabama in the Vandy game.
Georgia. Seldom do you see the team with more rushing yards have less time of possession, which was the case in that game, because they're good on third down. I hope we can continue to run the ball a little bit better and improve in that area. But keeping the ball away from the other team is still something that's really important to do when they have significant players on the other side and you keep giving them opportunities.
Yeah. So that is Nick Saban.
Listen, if they can protect Simpson and he continues to grow, they're going to be a tough out.
Trevor Maddich joins us next.
Just in time for early fall adventures, what could be better than zero down on a new Ford? That sounds good to me. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's football and camping season, and we've got a brand new Ford to take you there. Right now, Woody Anderson Ford has some strong $399 and $499 leases that come with zero down and 2 years of premium complimentary maintenance too. Choose a 2025 STX Crew Cab with a 2.7-liter EcoBoost for just $4.99 a month. Or choose its electric brother, the F-150 Lightning, just $3.99 a month. Woody Anderson Ford also has 25 Broncos, Explorers for $4.99 a month, and Bronco Sport and Escape for only $3.99 a month. And remember, these leases are zero down, and they come with 2 years of complimentary maintenance. 36-month leases with zero down, first payment due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax, tag, and title fees, and your good credit. These offers end 9/30/25. Now's the time for a Woody Anderson Ford. I'm Bobby White, and we hope to see you soon.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. On this first day of Major League Baseball's postseason on ESPN, a pretty good pitcher's duel between Garrett Crochet and Max Fried in the AL wildcard opener. Yankees on the board first thanks to a solo home run by Anthony Volpe off Crochet. New York leading 1-0 top four. Red Sox righty Lucas Giolito, already ruled out of this wildcard round, is expected to miss the entire postseason with an elbow injury. Tigers ace Tarek Skubal looking every bit like the reigning AL Cy Young Award winner in Game 1 AL wildcard against the Guardians. 3 hits, 14 strikeouts, 7 2/3. Detroit clinging to a 2-1 lead. Will Vest on the hill looking to close things out. Man on for Cleveland, bottom 9.
First pitch to the left-handed hitting Kafis has popped up on the infield, out into shallow left. Baez circling, calling. He's got it. And the Detroit Tigers take Game 1 of the American League Wildcard Series. They defeat the Cleveland Guardians today 2-1 as Will Vest survives. A man at third, nobody out jamming the ninth.
Final call on ESPN Radio of that Detroit victory. Seiya Suzuki, Carson Kelly, each with back-to-back homers off Nick Pivetta, bottom of the fifth. Cubs defeated the Padres in that NL Wildcard Series opener 3-1. NFL agent for Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill told ESPN's Adam Schefter he won't need another surgery after undergoing a major procedure today to repair his dislocated left knee and multiple torn ligaments. He added he will play next season. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy uncertain if he'll be able to play Sunday against the Rams because of that toe injury.
Hey, this is Rich Eisen. Coming up Wednesday, Kurt Warner joins me. So does Roma Dunze of the Bears and Dancing with the Stars Alfonso Ribeiro, plus my latest NFL Power Rankings. That's Wednesday on The Rich Eisen Show, Disney Plus, the ESPN app, and ESPN Radio.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Got plenty to dive into here in this second hour from Woody Anderson Ford. Played a little bit from Steve Sarkisian, who pointed out the amount of penalties that are being called after what he witnessed in his bye week after hitting that first quarter post. And now they head into SEC play this weekend, taking on the Florida Gators. We certainly have a big one here in this state. Yes, I'm saying Vanderbilt at Alabama. It's worthy enough for game day to travel down to Tuscaloosa, and Trevor Maddich on the radio side for ESPN, as well as on the television side as well. He is a man of many hats, and he is kind enough to join us here this evening. How are you, Trev? Are you there, sir?
I am here.
There you are.
I do have many hats. I just keep them lined up on the wall.
It's very helpful. Happened to be there on Saturday for the Alabama-Georgia game, but would love to get your take on what you saw between Alabama and Georgia right out of the gate.
Well, there were lots of ups and downs on both sides of it. From Alabama's perspective, Georgia ran the ball like 55 times overall, over 50 in regulation. And it was a not a dominant performance from a standpoint of Georgia getting a lot of yards per carry, but they were able to just grind away. And over the course of the second half, Bama started to wear down. And I think that's a little concerning from a standpoint of the future. Now, Georgia is going to do that more than other teams probably will try to, and especially with Bama having some guys up front back from injury. I mean, that'll help them. But that's one thing. But the second thing I think is even more important for Alabama, and that is the way Ty Simpson at quarterback is performing in this Kalen DeBoer offense. He seems to be much better suited than Jalen Milroe was last year, especially hitting the intermediate passes around 20 or so yards downfield. Milroe was good at throwing the ball over the top in the deep passes, but you don't really need to even know what coverage it is to do that. You just need to heave it over the top of everybody. Those intermediate passes require that the quarterback reads the defense and then throws on time to a spot with varying trajectories depending on what the coverage is to get the ball over some guys and through and around other guys. And it's just more nuanced from a standpoint of being a passer and not just a thrower. And Ty Simpson, since the nap everybody took against Florida State in the opener, has been phenomenal, especially at those intermediate passes. And that opens up the entire rest of the field, and it opens up the rest of the offense. And against Georgia, you saw that come to fruition. You saw Ty Simpson hit those intermediate passes, some deep ones as well. Georgia did not have an answer. And that, to me, is the biggest component that puts Alabama right back in the race for SEC champion and right back in the race for not just the playoff, but to make noise there.
You know, they did have trouble stopping the run until the last, but when Georgia went for it on fourth down, which I thought was stupid, and I said it like, what are they doing? And then I was happy because I'm an Alabama fan. But that was 13 when they went through, it was 13 minutes and 40-something seconds left in the game in the fourth quarter. And they totally shut down Georgia the rest of the game. And they were able to move out of, get first downs and play complimentary football. I don't know what this Alabama team will do. I know this, that all I want to see them to see what I saw Saturday is they fought like heck to beat a good football team in a stadium where nobody's won a game the last 5 years in that stadium, but Georgia.
Right.
And to me, that's the most impressive thing after the way they started in that effort. And like you said, when we had that conversation that week, I didn't recognize that. It was embarrassing. I thought the quarterback played decent given what he had to do. He made some mistakes in that game, but I think that they grew from that game, and hopefully now, but they're only as good as last week's performance, right? And it doesn't get any easier. They go to undefeated Vanderbilt this week, undefeated Missouri next
game.
Week. Yeah.
Then
at Missouri. Yeah. Then they play Tennessee.
11 a.m. kick.
Yeah. So it doesn't get any easier. My thing, though, Trevor, can they keep this level? Can they protect? Ty Simpson every game? Because if he can sit back there, they'll have a chance to win those games.
Yeah, I agree with that, Wes. And let me just to be specific and correct myself a little bit. Georgia against Alabama, they ran for 227. They averaged 7 yards a carry on 33 carries. I was conflating the 55
right
against Tennessee, but they still ran the ball well against Alabama, and so that was the concern. I think that popped out. As far as Alabama protecting Ty Simpson, I think they'll be able to. Coming into this season, the book on Alabama's offensive line was that they were going to be one of the best pass protecting offensive lines in college football, but would be a work in progress as a run blocking offensive line. And that's kind of played out. Now, Jam Miller coming back from injury, I think will make a difference at running back. But at the same time, the big key is protecting Ty Simpson because the wide receiver core is so good. And Simpson has shown himself so far to be capable of maximizing those wide receivers. that if Simpson gets protection, they ought to be able to run with anybody in the country. Now, the more they can establish the running game, the better. Of course, that's what Alabama wants to do. But Wes, when you talk about, keeping up a high level of performance, that sort of was the problem last year and really in the opener against Florida State, that Alabama uncharacteristically would make lots of mistakes. They were sloppy with assignments, with technique. Guys would be out of position. Guys would make unnecessary penalties. Now, it's normal to have some penalties occur over the course of a game because you're playing hard. You'll have holding once in a while. You'll have pass interference once in a while. I get that. That's no big deal, depending on when they occur. But personal fouls and pre-snap penalties and things like that are things that you almost never saw from Alabama until last year. At least it didn't seem like you did. And last year there were way too many of them. And this was part of the problem against Florida State. The defense was out of position way too often when it came not just to the secondary in coverage mistakes, but also up front in contain and in disciplined pass rush lanes that allowed Tommy Castellanos, the Florida State quarterback, to break out and all of a sudden make plays with his legs. And that's part of the problem that they had against Florida State. But since then, they seem to have tightened up a lot. And that's going to be a big key for Bama going forward, is to play discipline, to play not tight from a standpoint of not, playing hard, but play tight from a standpoint of not making those mistakes that cost you games. More games are lost from mistakes than are won due to big plays. In Alabama, last year and through Florida State, contributed to losses because of mistakes that they made that were just not necessary. And so if they're able to play that wired tight, to play that cleanly, then all of a sudden their talent can come to bear without having to overcome their own problems. And Alabama is as good a team as there is in the country. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can do that, because week to week, month to month, it's difficult to maintain that level of discipline. And like Coach Saban always says, it happens in practice. It happens in the classroom. It happens in everything you do away from game day, and then it carries over into game day. And when Coach Saban talks about practice, famously, he says that you don't practice till you get it right. You practice till you can't get it wrong. But then you maintain individual discipline in your personal lives. And I think last year, part of what happened was Coach DeBoer allowed everyone to discipline, themselves. I think he had less of an iron fist from the top. And I think that there wasn't enough leadership in the locker room to maintain that iron discipline that we saw with Coach Saban. And I think that it all added up to mistakes that should never have happened. But the last several weeks, I think we've seen Alabama perform a lot more like they used to perform. And as long as they continue to do that, Coach DeBoer is an outstanding coach, and I think they're going to be fun.
So I don't know if you noticed or not, but Alabama's pretty much playing 8 offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's a true freshman, Michael Carroll, 64. You need to watch him. I think he's going to be special. But it's interesting because I never liked that. And they're keeping the same center, which is good for the quarterback. But I never liked that. But it seems to be working for them. And they're providing depth if somebody gets hurt as well.
And that's been a problem for them in recent years, where they've had somebody get hurt and there's been a big drop-off. Just from a standpoint of experience. But with the offensive line, it's a lot. Talent is less important than chemistry. And that's why you see, for example, in the NFL, the better performing offensive lines are not the ones with the highest draft picks all the time. They're the ones that all 5 guys have played together for 4 or 5 years. And so that's what you're trying to do in college, except you don't get them together as much as you do in the NFL, just because they age out. But I think it's good to get those young guys in there and let those young guys become part of the chemistry. First of all, for the future, you need that to build for the future, so that you're not sitting there wondering what you're going to do when your superstar offensive lineman goes off to the NFL. And also, because it creates depth, like you said, but also creates competition because you know what? If the backup comes in, performs better than the starter, guess who's going to play? And so this is all really good. You talked about 64, the young guy. He was hilarious. I did a breakdown on ESPN last week that included a screen pass out to the left. And it was vicious. I mean, vicious. Because there was a whole lot of eye candy in the backfield with players going every which direction. And finally, it was a toss back to the quarterback. And then the quarterback threw the ball out for a bubble screen out to the left. But instead of wide receivers in front of him, all 5 offensive linemen were out there. And the tight end, right? And at first, there were only 2 defenders in front of him. So your guy 64, Wes, I actually paused it when he turned around and looked back to see if there was anyone to block because there was no one in front of him to block. And at that time, the tight end was in the process of making a pancake, and there were 2 other defenders that had run into each other, and they were on the ground on top of each other, so he had nothing to do. But then we had Caden Proctor, number 74, who was farther upfield, and he was 366 pounds, was blocking a defensive back. He shoved the defensive back onto the ground, and the defensive back's feet were high up in the air. At one point, it was hilarious. And basically my line there, what I said was that this looks like David and Goliath. And usually in David and Goliath wins. And I tell you, Proctor was devastating there, just like he has been the whole time. By the way, I want to see him get more chances to carry the ball.
Yeah. Well, now you were very athletic. They never threw you a bubble screen.
No, because it would have been too impressive, and we didn't want to embarrass our fans out there. That would have been. And the first defender that came in for Proctor. So they threw him a screen. It went down in the stats as a rush. They said it was a lateral pass, but it was a bubble screen. It was a pass. And the first defender that came in went down like below ankle height. It was like
he looked like he's digging a hole.
Yeah, he was like tunneling underneath him, hoping he'd fall into the tunnel. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I see why the defender's doing that. But if Proctor falls on him, he's going to land on him and squash him flat. That probably wasn't the best idea. Better just to jump up and let him carry you.
No, yeah, just try to hit him in the waist or something, just to slow him down.
So you tell me never even in a practice, you never even caught a pass in a practice? Come on now.
I tell you what, though, that was a beautiful play, and it was funny how the defense just was terrified that he had the ball. They had to do something about it. I want to see them give him the ball a lot, and I don't even mean on goal line. I mean when it's 1st and 10 on the 30 coming out, have a play where he gets the ball and out in space and let somebody try to stay in front of him. I loved it.
Well, as soon as they spotted it at inside the 1, I was expecting the fridge. I was expecting them to finish the drill. I mean,
well, it was at the 2.5. I think if it was left the 1, they might. So I went to practice, and he dropped it in practice, and I talked to him after practice. Oh yeah, he dropped it, and I talked to him after practice. I said, "You messed that up, dude." So you did not get it. We were going to run the fumble rooski, and I messed it up, and they just threw it out. So, and Coach DeBoer talked about, we shelved it, then we brought it back, and supposedly he made some unbelievable catch in practice last week, and that's why they decided to run it. And they lined up in it early.
Yeah.
And I guess they didn't get the right look when they were down there the first time. And I think there'll be, like you say, I think there'll be more from it. There'll be more out of it.
But what's the right look? I mean, because on that play, he lined up, I think it was Twins left. There was a wide receiver up on the line, and he was just behind the wide receiver, just off to the side of him, out wide near the left sideline. Now, that's where he lined up. So imagine if you're the corner out there and you're looking at that going, hey, guys, do we have any timeouts left? Hey, guys, let's get a defensive tackle out here, please. It's like, the whole thing is hilarious. And I'll tell you this, the first pass I ever caught in organized football was in the NFL. I was playing tight end for the Jets. I was number 46. And it was still, I was still mostly a blocker, but I was playing so much tight end in the big field, 1st and 10 on the 30 coming out, rather than just short yardage and goal line, that they just switched my number and we would just mash the end. We would just crush the edges at all times. And it was so much fun. But then we were at New England, my former team, and we were trailing, and there was less than a minute to go, and we called a play that I was supposed to block and then leak out late into the end zone as an outlet, and the pass was supposed to go to our fullback off to the right. Well, in practice, it worked every time that way. But in the game, the whole defense sniffed it out, and they all ran over to the right to cover our fullback. And I was standing by myself in the back of the end zone. And the quarterback looked at me, and I looked at him, and he was like, no way. But then Andre was about to get him in the ear hole, so he threw the ball. And I never knew what it would be like. Would it happen fast? Would it happen slow? Would there be music in my mind? It happened so slowly. That ball took 3 days to get there. Time almost stood still. I caught it. And I'll tell you, that moment, me standing there with my arms in the air, signaling the touchdown, and my offensive line teammates surrounding me, celebrating for a big guy touchdown, that made the front page of the sports page of the Boston Herald. And
that is cool.
And that was so much fun. And so that's why this goes back to, it's not about me, it's about Caden. This goes back to what you were saying, Wes, and Steve as well, that, we all hope that he would get the call somehow to score that game score that touchdown when he ended up just short on that screen pass, because he deserved to have that feeling of scoring a touchdown. And I hope that they give him that feeling, because I think it would be hilarious and it would be awesome for the team.
I did ask him post game. I did ask him this.
Did you think you scored?
I thought I was pretty close, but I knew I stepped out early. I was getting close to the pylon, hit the pylon. I was like, okay, you might have a little something right here, but it was this close. Everybody telling me it was this close. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I knew I could get you two to break that down for me.
6'7", 366, lined up as the wide receiver, caught a pass and ran down the field. And if you're a defender, you're just thinking, somebody please trip me. Somebody please make me fall down before I get there.
But every old offensive lineman stood up, was cheering, right?
Oh, I love it.
100%.
And the thing is, not only did we love it just for the brotherhood of offensive linemen, for me, I can speak for myself, and Wes, I'm sure you probably would agree with me that his dexterity in catching that ball and then running down the field and then slipping that tackle that came through that snake height down low, and all the things that he did there were fantastic.
No question. Yeah, I mean,
he was
fun to see.
This. Mark Schlereth was a teammate of mine with Washington back in the day, and we were colleagues at ESPN for a while. Now he's over at Fox, I think, and he said something on ESPN that I thought was just brilliant, because somebody was talking to him about how you've got the skill players and you have the offensive linemen, and he said, no, stop. He said this real skill is the offensive lineman. He said, I can go down to the cafeteria right now and throw a ball to anybody in there, and they will catch it and throw it back to me. But not a single one of them could try to get me to go where I don't want to go against my will. And that's what offensive linemen have to do. And I thought, you go get him, Mark.
Yeah, that just gave me chills.
Yeah.
That was the best explanation I've ever heard.
Yeah, way to go, Mark Schlereth. Now, again, Mark Schlereth, a strike against him is that he was a big fan of Culture Club. And I just couldn't join him on that one. A lot of people are fans of Culture Club, but I couldn't join Mark on that one. But he was a great offensive lineman. Let's give him that.
What struck me was Gunnar Stockton had a couple of significant runs against Alabama defensively, and something tells me we're going to see quite a bit of that Saturday with one Diego Pavia. So what do you think we're going to see on Saturday?
I think you're going to see a lot of keep away, because the thing about Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt last year in their win against Alabama was not that they were physically better than Alabama. They kind of weren't physically better than Alabama. They played more cleanly, and they played better situational football. For example, when it came to first downs, they were able to play keep away against Alabama. They had 26 first downs, and they were 12 of 18, Vanderbilt was, converting third downs, 1 for 1 on fourth down, which is absolutely astronomical. But in doing so, they were able to. Winning football is 40% conversion third down. 12 of 18, that's what, 67%? And so in doing so, they were able to extend drives and wear down the Alabama defense, which made it easier to get those third down conversions. And a lot of that had to do with Pavia being just a baller. Rolling out and hitting receivers when he needed to, avoiding tackles, making the third down conversion with his legs when Alabama seemed to have him bottled up. It wasn't that he was that dominant. Pavia only averaged about 3 yards per carry on the ground against Bama last year. He threw the ball very well. But overall, it was his ability to extend drives by converting third downs, and that's what they're going to try to do again. And right now, this year, Vanderbilt is top 10 in third down success rate. They're really good at converting third downs. Alabama ranks in the hundreds defensively in those same situations. And so, I think this is the pathway for Vanderbilt to win this game, play keep away. Because as good as Vandy's defense has been playing, if there's a weak link to point to, it would be the secondary. And if Ty Simpson has the ball and he has time to throw, then I think Alabama has a big edge in the passing game against Vandy's secondary. That's if the Vandy's secondary is on the field that much. Vandy's going to slow it down. They're going to try to take advantage of what seems to be a weakness for Alabama so far this year, which is stopping opponents on third downs. And we'll see if that pays out, but that will be the plan.
The key, I don't know, last year, the best play I saw maybe all year against Alabama was by Diego on fourth down. It was a fourth and one.
Yeah.
They faked like they're going to run. Alabama sniffed it out, though, had the perfect call. Guys coming in on a blitz. He knew he was going to get hit, but he went to where he would get hit so he could hold on to it as long as he can. He threw the ball almost straight up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And it came down, and the guy barely caught it with his fingertips as Pavia was getting killed, which he knew he was going to get killed. Alabama had the perfect call for a touchdown. And if he goes anywhere, one step to the left, one step to the right, one step back, if he didn't go to exactly where he was, he wouldn't have had time to throw the ball. It was the most amazing play. And if he plays like he did last year, Alabama's in for a fight. I don't care what. The key is to get them to turn the ball over. And because I don't think they can cover us, but I'm not sure we can stop him either if he plays like he did last year.
Yeah, that was part of the problem last year. Bama had 2 turnovers, Vandy had none. And Bama only had 6 penalties last year against Vandy, but Vandy had 3. Bama had twice as many penalties as Vandy did. And that slows down drives or it extends drives on the other side. And this is where we talk about playing cleanly. One of those penalties was at the end. Bama had a 2nd and 11, I believe, or excuse me, Vandy, up 5 points. They were 2nd and 11 with about a minute to go in the game on the Bama 42, I think. And Vandy, Bama had to stop them down 5 in order to have a chance to win this game. And there was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Malachi Moore. I think that was when he kicked the ball.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't mean if you didn't do that, Bama would have won. But it was just one of those things where Bama made just a few more unnecessary mistakes than Vandy did, and then Vandy kept the ball. And so what does Bama have to do to win this game? They got to stop Pavia on third down. They can't lose the turnover battle, and they can't have twice as many penalties. So the formula is simple. It's just not easy.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, but from the SEC as a whole, you watch way more national than I do. I've seen a few on the Big Ten side, a little bit of the ACC, but the SEC in particular, to me this year, from top to bottom, and right now I'd say I don't even know who the top would be right now, but the bottom to me clearly is Kentucky at the moment. but it feels as competitive as I can ever remember. What about you from a national perspective, Trev?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's that one juggernaut that nationally nobody really has a chance against. And in the SEC, there's probably one more team that can challenge them, and that's what you see, right? It's not that way this year. This year, there's a bunch of teams that are very good. You know, Ole Miss is very good. Yeah. Missouri's got a favorable schedule, but they've been doing to that schedule what they should be doing. They've been playing very well. You know, Vandy, I don't think is a national championship contender, and their schedule is pretty brutal down the stretch, but they've been playing really well, and they might determine who goes to the playoff out of the SEC by knocking some people off. Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the country, and if their quarterback, John Mateer, can get he had surgery on his hand, and if he can get back before Oklahoma loses a couple of games and kind of loses their position, then Oklahoma is a team that could get it done. But are they utterly dominant, and are they going to steamroll through everybody? No. Alabama right now looks very, very good. But you can point to places where you could attack, and you would think as an opponent you would have some semblance, some opportunity for success. And so, but Bama's very good. Georgia, same way. LSU, I think, has kind of dropped down a little bit, but Tennessee looks like a team that has a good chance to make the playoff as well. Are any of these teams in the SEC that much more likely to win the SEC than any other? And I think the answer to that is not really. I think this is going to be one of the most balanced and entertaining races to the SEC championship game that we've seen in a long time.
Are we going to see a 3-loss SEC team make the playoff this year?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just because there are good teams elsewhere. I mean, Miami in the ACC is looking great, but the thing is, Miami, Georgia Tech, and Virginia don't play each other. And so you may end up with a couple of ACC teams that are 10-2. Same way with the Big 12. Last year, the Big 12 had one team in, but this year with Texas Tech playing as well as they are, and with other teams improved from last year, you know, teams like Iowa State and BYU with their young quarterback coming along, and even Arizona State without Cam Scatterboot is stronger on defense and very strong in the running game and better in the passing game than they were last year. And so these are teams that can put conferences that can put another team into the playoff that was extra from what they did last year. And I think that makes it tough for the SEC to get a 3-loss team in. Remember that last year, Miami went 10-2.
Yeah.
Did not win the ACC, did not make the playoff.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not seen a whole lot of Texas Tech. How good is Texas Tech?
Texas Tech is surprisingly awesome. They spent famously, according to published reports, the second most dollars in NIL this year to buy a team. They spent $28 million, second only to Texas. Now, remember, last year, Ohio State broke the bank in NIL to the tune of $20 million to put together a national championship team. Texas Tech put in $28 million. And their defense was the big bugaboo for many years. They've always had an offense that could move the ball and score, but their defense was rather awful. Well, so far this year, their defense has been lights out. And have they played great teams? Well, they've played one very good team, and that's Utah. Utah's got a couple of offensive tackles that will probably both go in the first round of the NFL draft. Their defense is as solid as you would expect from that program. And at quarterback, they finally have got a guy that can make plays for the first time in a long time in Devin Dampier. Remember that Cam Rising for Utah for the last 3 years or so had been their quarterback, great when he's healthy, but injured way too often. And they played 3 and even 4 quarterbacks sometimes because of injuries at that position. Well, this year, they've got a healthy quarterback who's a dual threat, who's out there causing all kinds of trouble. And Texas Tech went up to Salt Lake City and beat Utah 34-10. They held Utah to 10 points with one of the best offensive lines or one of the better offensive lines in the country. They can only manage one offensive touchdown at home against a Texas Tech team that for the past several years has been largely abysmal at defense. So if this Texas Tech defense is as good as it appears to be for what they did to the Utes in Salt Lake City, then the offense is doing really well. And Texas Tech is a team not just favored to then win the Big 12, but a team that might very well make some noise in the playoff. Remember that last year's team out of the Big 12, the champion Arizona State, took Texas to overtime in the playoff, and that was without their best receiver, Jordan Tyson, who's now healthy and back. And so, Texas Tech right now is looking really exciting. And that's encouraging for teams that are not in that top tier blue blood level, because if Texas Tech does go deep into the playoffs, then it shows you that you can too if you've got the money in NIL and you handle it correctly in building a team.
I pretty much heard that from Lane Kiffin last week on the teleconference when I asked him about LSU, and I got, they bought that defense but teams that are spending the money.
Until last week, the top 7 portal classes this past cycles, those teams were a combined 27-0 the first 4 weeks.
Wow. Well, that's really good. But that tells you not just that they chose the right players, it tells you that they were able to plug those players in. And the guys they brought weren't just talented, they also were good culture fits. Yeah. Because if you've got a lot of talented players, but they're all playing for themselves and they're not good culture fits and not good teammates, then it's not going to come together like it has. And nobody knows that better than Lane Kiffin, because he's been masterful at using the portal to his advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. The one question I have, at least in the back of my mind, is what is November SEC football going to look like compared to what we saw in September with the injury factor and the portal? And I don't know. And I just wonder if we can stay at this high level. Is it sustainable into November?
Well, they're going to knock each other off, right, to a degree. But you're right about that. I mean, you're really right, Steve, that these teams are going to be different in November than they were in September. Just look at Ole Miss with Trinidad Chambliss, their backup quarterback, who Lane Kiffin calls a little guy, who last year was winning the Division II national championship for the Ferris State Bulldogs.
That's right.
And all of a sudden he comes in as the backup when Austin Simmons gets hurt, and he is a revelation. And then you've got Oklahoma with a transfer quarterback, but he's experienced. But really when he comes back, John Mateer is going to develop even more and more chemistry with his receivers. Alabama's got a new starting quarterback, and the more time that Ty Simpson gets, the better he'll be in this offense. Same way with Georgia. The same way with Tennessee, with a transfer from really Appalachian State. I mean, Joey Aguilar was at App State, transferred to UCLA, and then came out to Tennessee when they did that quarterback swap with Nico. And then Texas is going to be a totally different team in November, you would think, as Arch Manning kind of develops and gets rid of the yips that he's had in September as the Texas first-year starting quarterback. And so, you've got all these different guys, and DJ Lagway, who knows how much better he's going to be for Florida at the end of the season. They're just Jackson Arnold and Auburn. This one of the things that's going to make this SEC race so much fun is that we can't look at these teams and say, we know exactly who they're going to be in November, but we can look at some of the top teams and say, we're pretty sure that they're all going to be a good deal better than they are now.
I went into last weekend not really having a great feel. Although Wes and I did pick the winners, we agreed on it. But heading into this weekend, I wouldn't be shocked if Florida beat Texas. I wouldn't. But we saw what happened, especially after a bye week with Billy. He is Texas is also likewise.
Did you guys pick Vanderbilt, Alabama yet?
No, but I'm leaning Bama in a big way. But But if anybody could get it done on the road, it's Diego Pavia.
That's a different bear.
A lot of people
winning in
right
Tuscaloosa.
now, the line is Alabama minus 10.5.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that are picking Vanderbilt at that number. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do in terms of picks for this coming week. I agree with you. I think Alabama wins the game. But in terms of the spread, I still have not decided how close I think this is going to be.
Well, to me, it depends. If Alabama can get a 2-score lead.
How many times they throw it to Proctor?
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
I'm messing
so,
with
yeah,
you.
well, so
I'm messing
what I'm
with
saying,
you.
though,
Yeah.
is that if they get a 2-score lead and make Vanderbilt one-dimensional, that's how they can win the game.
Yeah.
If it's close, then, hell, Vanderbilt might upset them again. But if they can get a 2-score lead and make them one-dimensional, then it's a different ballgame, I think. That's what I'm hoping they get an early lead and
couldn't stop them last year.
Yeah, couldn't stop them last year, but a little different playing in Tuscaloosa, 100-something thousand people. It's not going to Virginia Tech. It's not going to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Although South Carolina can be loud, it's a different bear.
If Bama loses to Vanderbilt, with one word, how would you describe what you expect the fan base to be like?
It doesn't matter who they lose to at this point. I mean, first of all, Trevor, I think a lot of this is overplayed, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that there's so much people in the press pushing all this stuff because you go to that game the week after they lost to Florida State. There were 102,000 people, and the crowd was loud, and everybody was cheering. There wasn't any booing. There wasn't anything like that. You know, and I think you get some Alabama fans that get ahead of themselves a little bit, and they're frustrated. I get it. They're frustrated because of the effort. But they still came out and cheered in a big, big way. Had a lot to cheer that game, too. I mean, it was unbelievable the way they played. And I knew then, I saw Ty Simpson make a throw in that game where I saw his eyes light up, and I saw an NFL arm. And that was the first time I'd seen it. And that's the way he's been playing ever since. And so if they can protect him and give him time, he's getting better every game. I mean, his decision-making in the Georgia game was, I mean, even the incomplete passes he threw where the guys were, they were the only guys, he threw it where only they could catch it. Guy doesn't have a turnover all year in 4 games. That's hard to do as many times they have to throw. Like you said, they're not a great running team yet. I think they can get there. You're not going to get it against Georgia. They're going to, but I think they can get there. They'll get better. One thing I want to say about Lane Kiffin, too. Lane Kiffin took a running back at Alabama and almost won the national championship with them.
Yeah, Blake.
They ended up getting beat by Ohio State team who won the national championship in the semifinals. Blake Sims was a running back that he made a quarterback. And he is the best I've ever seen to get you to win. Now, he's kicking his field goals this year.
How about that?
And if he'd have kicked field goals last year, he'd have been undefeated going into the in each game they lost last year, they had it in the red zone 5 times and came away with 0 points and lost by a field goal. So I think he's a brilliant coach, you know, and look, and my son's his safety coach. So I've been watching him a long time.
Well, there you go. Yeah, no, I think Lane Kiffin is underrated and underappreciated for what an excellent coach he is. I think a lot of people look at what happened at USC, but at USC he was dealing with the Reggie Bush sanctions. They were down in scholarships because of that, and there were times when they couldn't even run a practice because they didn't have enough healthy offensive linemen, and they couldn't even run a proper practice. They give him grief because of how he performed with the Raiders in the year he was there. But the Raiders, before he got there, were completely uncompetitive. They were getting blown out week after week. And when Lane got there the first year, they still weren't winning, but now they were playing competitive games. They were within a score a lot of times, which was a huge improvement of the year before. And I don't think people give him enough credit for that. I think he's a much better coach than people at large really kind of realize. But I will say this too, about Kalen DeBoer and Alabama. I think Kalen DeBoer is one of the best coaches in the country. He's been successful everywhere he's won. He's recruiting at a very high level at Alabama right now. And I think once he gets people into Alabama to fill out the entire roster on both sides of the ball to fit the schemes that he wants to run, I think Alabama fans will look back on these troubled times. Certainly last year was a troubled time, but they'll look back on these first couple of years of Kalen DeBoer and say, you know what, Kalen DeBoer stuck to his vision, and we're glad that he did, and we're glad that he's our coach, because I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be more than fine as Alabama head coach. I think he's going to be just as successful in Tuscaloosa as he's been everywhere else he's ever coached.
It's always great stuff with Trevor Maddich, and we can't thank you enough again for the extended visit, but there's so much to cover, honestly, and we're just now getting through with September. So thank you so much for the time, sir.
Trevor, thank you so much. I enjoy it so much. And you know what? I'm going to go look for your tape of your touchdown when I get home tonight. It's on YouTube. Is it on your channel?
Is it on your channel?
No. It's on YouTube, though, I think. It's Jets at Patriots 91 or 92. One of the two. Might have been 1991, I think. Anyway, somewhere in that area. It was with 1 minute to go in the game, so you can find it. But anyway, guys, thanks. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah,
thank you.
This whole time we've talked, the whole takeaway is you guys now know that I scored a game-winning touchdown in the end.
Yeah, well,
100%. Yeah.
I had a feeling because you were athletic. I know that. Really played every position on the offensive line. Incredible.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Always a lot of fun talking some football there with Trevor Maddich. And I knew that was going to be fun to break down Caden Proctor's.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Technically run, but more receiver. Anyway, let's take our first time out here as we're live from Woody Anderson Ford. We will be right back for a very quick segment, I would imagine.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just in time for early fall adventures, what could be better than zero down on a new Ford? That sounds good to me. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's football and camping season, and we've got a brand new Ford to take you there. Right now, Woody Anderson Ford has some strong $399 and $499 leases that come with zero down and 2 years of premium complimentary maintenance too. Choose a 2025 STX Crew Cab with a 2.7-liter EcoBoost for just $499 a month, or choose its electric brother, the F-150 Lightning, just $399 a month. Woody Anderson Ford also has 25 Broncos, Explorers for $499 a month, and Bronco Sport and Escape for only $399 a month. And remember, these leases are zero down, and they come with 2 years of complimentary maintenance. 36-month leases with zero down, first payment due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax, tag, and title fees, and your good credit. These offers end 9/30/25. Now's the time for a Woody Anderson Ford. I'm Bobby White, and we hope to see you soon.
This is Bill Crawford with Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff. I've recently had a stem cell procedure on my right knee from Dr. Charles Lee of Regenesis. Stem cells are harvested from your body and re-administered back into your body. This approach is painless, quick, and requires no lengthy rehab. My knee feels better already. Regenesis is located at 4601 Whitesburg Drive in Huntsville, Alabama. Call 256-715-8193 or Google their website for more information.
Your customers deserve the best, and so do you. You invest in your customers with your heart, soul, and skill. Well, it's time to invest in yourself with the next generation Cat 255 compact track loader from Thompson Tractor. After all, those who give their best deserve the best, and this machine has it all. With features that include a more powerful engine, tri-axle truck loading capabilities, a spacious cab, and a smooth ride for all-day comfort. Best of all, now Thompson Tractor is making that investment even better with our Workhorse Special. Get 0% financing for 36 months on the purchase of a new Cat 255 compact track loader that comes with a 3-year warranty. You also get a 74-inch bucket and 1,000-hour filter kit. Due to popular demand, this offer is extended through September 30th. Visit ThompsonTractor.com for details. Thompson Tractor, we're here for you.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Mike Owen at Owen Home Appliance Center. You know it's hot outside, so cool down with an upright or chest freezer in stock at Owen Home Appliance Center. And don't let those beverages get hot. Get an under-counter ice machine with a built-in pump for just $12.99. Or how about a fridge out by the pool or in the garage for extra cold drinks? You can get a scratch and dent 18-cubic-foot refrigerator for just $3.49 while supplies last. Go to OwenAppliance.com to learn more. That's OwenAppliance.com.
At Johnson & Hayes Physical Therapy, it's not just what we do, it's who we are. Founded in 2003 by Huntsville natives Scott Johnson and Todd Hayes, Johnson & Hayes brings exceptional care to every patient through an all-star team of highly trained physical therapists. From sports performance to post-op rehab, dizziness, women's health, and more. With 7 locations across North Alabama, expert care is always close to home. Learn more at johnsonandhayes.com. Johnson & Hayes Physical Therapy, where extraordinary care meets exceptional outcomes.
Hold your block until the whistle blows.
From SEC Media Days to the National Championship game.
This was a great team win.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, Brian, tell me how quickly we need to head off to a break here.
How quickly do you want to go?
We've only got 10 minutes left in the program. We are walking up to some Major League Baseball tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to do like 5 minutes here, and we'll just go to commercial and go away.
You know what? That's perfect. That's perfect. I do have a couple of things to clean up a little bit.
Well, I've got a bone to pick with you guys.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right.
I walked in the studio yesterday and you had barbecue ribs for me.
I did.
I walked in today and there's nothing.
Well, I'm here at Woody Anderson 4. Okay. We'll be back in studio tomorrow.
Okay.
This does not prevent you from going to Full Moon Barbecue, getting your own.
Fantastic idea. I've got a Full Moon Zone deal in my truck right now to go through. And they'll ring it at the drive-thru too.
There you go.
So tell us, what is a Zone deal?
Well, a Zone deal, it's a great thing we have for our listeners. Go to 977ESPN.com. That's our website, which you should be going to every day. Anyway, up on the upper left, it says Savings Never Tasted So Good. We've got Zone deals for all sorts of different things. You're going to see a lot of food in there. You're also going to see a lot of golf in there. You're going to see different things to do, and you could save a lot of money. See,
yes, you can.
One other radio station will tell you, a lot of other radio stations will say, we'll double your money. We mean it because we do it.
Yeah.
When you go to a Zone deal, say, I'm going to click on the Zone deal here, and I'm going to go, look at sea salt. That looks really good.
Yeah.
I can buy for $25.
Tacos.
Yeah. I can buy for $25. I get $50 worth of gift cards. So
Just
you double your money. There's only now in full transparency, there's like a $5 transaction fee.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you pay that everywhere. So so you're going to argue with me that you get $50 for $30?
It's just one transaction fee.
Yeah. So what I do on payday is I'll load up and I'll get like a Full Moon barbecue, and then I'll get cheeseburger bobbies, and I'll get
that's coming up in October, by the way.
And I'll go ahead and load those up. And I have what I have the good husband file on the car, and that is what. When I can go through and I've got a Zone deal right there. What does my darling bride want for dinner? Well, I can do it. You could be a hero, and you could save money. All one thing with the Zone deals. 977ESPN.com. Double your money with the Zone.
Thank you very much, Brian Temple. A couple of things to clean up.
I'm here all week.
Try the veal. A couple of things to clean up. There was one feature in the last Winter Olympics, and I am happy to report that it is coming back.
Guess who's back?
Yeah. Snoop Dogg appeared in a promo announcing that he is indeed going to be a special correspondent in the 26 Winter Olympics next year. And then the other story I wanted to clean up was I know I have shared my Bad Bunny story. And ever since my encounter with Bad Bunny, he has just skyrocketed. And now he is heading into being the halftime headliner for next year's Super Bowl. How did he celebrate?
It's crazy because I was in the middle of a workout. So I remember that after the call, I just did like 100 pull-ups. I was like, I didn't need more pre-workout or whatever. I was like.
So Bad Bunny gets a call from Jay-Z and knocked out 100 pull-ups because he was in the middle of a workout. That is how he celebrated finding out he is the headliner for the Super Bowl halftime show coming up next year. You're welcome, Bad Bunny. It's just good mojo after he allowed me to breathe and stay living when he told me we straight when I was walking in for a Bucks Heat game down there when I was covering for UAH Charger basketball in the NCAA tournament. And that'll do it.
Hey, Steve.
There's your Bad Bunny update for the day.
We straight.
Yeah, we straight. We straight. Yeah. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking it was like that scene from Gladiator where they're looking for the thumbs up and thumbs down. And the bodyguards, I can still see them like unflex after he said, we straight. We straight. So I appreciate that, Bad Bunny. And that is going to wrap us up here from Woody Anderson Ford. I see the Yankees and Red Sox are playing on the television here at Woody Anderson Ford.
Dodgers coming up here.
Yeah, Reds and Dodgers coming up.
The Doyers and
Shohei Ohtani. Talk to you tomorrow.
Since 1983, Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate's Ann Adams has been your local go-to real estate expert in the area. As a buyer, you can trust Ann's in-depth knowledge of the local housing market to narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, saving you time when shopping for a new home. When you're ready to sell, Ann's expert negotiation skills will ensure you